When it comes to attraction and connection, few things are as underestimated as a hug. Most men think of a hug as something small, casual, or automatic, but the truth is, a hug is a powerful form of communication. It's not just about wrapping your arms around her, it's about the energy you bring into that moment. A hug can say more than words ever could, and the difference between a forgettable hug and one she remembers forever comes down to your presence. Presence is about being fully engaged, fully locked into the moment without distraction. When you hug a woman and your mind is somewhere else, she can feel it. If you're thinking about what to say next, if you're nervous and holding back, if you're rushing to let go because you don't know what to do with your hands, she'll sense the disconnect. But when you're grounded, calm, and intentional, your hug carries an energy that makes her feel safe, wanted, and understood. That's the kind of hug she doesn't forget. But women are incredibly intuitive. They don't just notice what you do, they notice how you do it and how it makes them feel. If you hug her with hesitation, she feels that uncertainty. If you hug her like you're checking off a box, she feels the lack of care. But if you hold her with presence, if you slow down and sink into the moment, she feels the strength of your energy. And in that split second, she gets a glimpse of your confidence, your certainty, and your ability to make her feel grounded. The power of presence in a hug is that it's not about the length or the technique, it's about the energy exchange. A simple, steady embrace that's aligned with calm confidence can leave her heart racing far more than a dramatic or exaggerated hug ever could, because presence speaks to something deeper. It tells her that you're not distracted by the noise of the world, that you're not thinking about other women, that you're not doubting yourself. You are simply there with her and nothing else matters. The best part is, presence can't be faked. You can't trick her into feeling it. It comes from you being in control of your mind, your emotions, and your body. When you breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, and give her your full attention in that embrace, you naturally radiate the kind of confidence she's drawn to. That hug becomes more than just physical contact. It becomes a memory she attaches to you. So remember, the hug itself isn't what makes it unforgettable. It's the presence you bring into it. A man who hugs with presence communicates certainty without words, strength without effort, and attraction without trying. And this is exactly why the next step, matching her energy, is the key to making every hug feel natural and deeply connected. One of the most overlooked secrets to making a hug unforgettable is learning to match her energy. Every hug carries a certain vibe, and the mistake many men make is forcing their own energy onto the moment without paying attention to hers. Attraction and connection are about harmony, not control. When you can tune in to her energy and respond in sync and let her feel that you're right there with her. On the other hand, if she runs into your arms with excitement, don't hug her like you're barely engaged. Meet her enthusiasm with firmness and warmth and let her know you're just as present in that joy as she is. The balance between your energy and hers creates a rhythm she can feel, and that rhythm is what she remembers. Matching her energy isn't about losing yourself, it's about awareness. A confident man can adjust his vibe without sacrificing his own strength. It shows emotional intelligence, and that's a rare quality. Most men are too locked into their own nerves, trying to overthink every move, which makes their hug awkward. But the man who simply observes her body language, feels her presence, and responds with the right energy communicates that he's attuned, grounded, and adaptable. This kind of presence creates trust. She feels like you're not just holding her body, but connecting to her emotions. She feels seen without you needing to speak. And that unspoken connection is where attraction thrives. A hug like that lingers in her memory, not because of the physical contact, but because of how it made her feel understood on a deeper level. The beauty of matching energy is that it allows the hug to evolve naturally. Sometimes it starts playful and becomes tender. Sometimes it begins gentle and grows into something passionate. By staying tuned into her, you flow with her emotions instead of breaking the moment with mismatched energy. And that's exactly what separates a forgettable hug from one that leaves her thinking about you long after it's over. So remember, it's not about forcing the moment or trying to control how the hug should go. It's about tuning into her, matching her vibe, and showing her that you're fully present in whatever energy she brings. And that's why the next step, holding with confidence instead of hesitation, is what takes that harmony and turns it into irresistible attraction. A hug can communicate more about your character than hours of conversation, and one of the clearest signals it sends is whether you are confident or hesitant. When a man hugs with hesitation, when his arms feel unsure, when his body is stiff or nervous, she feels it instantly. That hesitation communicates doubt, uncertainty, and insecurity. But when a man hugs with confidence, firm, calm, and steady, it sends a completely different message. It tells her that she is safe, that you are grounded, and that you know exactly who you are. Confidence in a hug doesn't mean squeezing too hard or trying to dominate the moment. It's not about force, it's about certainty. It's about the way you step into the hug without second guessing yourself. A man who hugs with confidence isn't afraid of closeness, isn't afraid of touch, and isn't afraid of letting his energy be felt. That presence alone can make a hug unforgettable. When you hug with hesitation, you create awkwardness. You might pull away too soon, or your embrace feels half-hearted, like you're unsure if you should even be there. That energy breaks the connection. She may not say anything, but she feels the lack of confidence and it lowers the attraction. Women are drawn to men who radiate certainty because that certainty makes them feel relaxed. And that's why your hug needs to come from a place of strength, not doubt. Think of it this way. A confident hug is like an anchor in a storm. No matter what emotion she's feeling, joy, sadness, excitement, your presence stabilizes her. She feels that you're not shaken, that you're not second guessing, that you are fully grounded in yourself. And in that moment, she can let go, sink into your arms, and feel safe. That's when the hug becomes unforgettable because it becomes more than just physical contact. It becomes emotional security. The truth is, women can sense the smallest shifts in energy. If you hug with confidence, she feels cared for and desired. If you hesitate, she feels doubt and distance. And remember, confidence isn't about perfection. It's about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about showing through your body language that you're not afraid of intimacy, not afraid of presence, and not afraid of letting her experience your strength. Every great hug comes down to intention. If your intention is rooted in confidence, then your embrace will feel natural, smooth, and reassuring. She won't remember the exact pressure of your arms, but she will never forget how you made her feel. So when you hold her, hold with presence, hold with steadiness, and hold with confidence. That's the difference between a hug she forgets in seconds and one she replays in her mind for days. And this is why the subtle touches you add during a hug become the next step in deepening the connection even further. What separates an ordinary hug from one that stays on her mind is the subtle detail you bring into it. And one of the most powerful tools you have is touch. Touch is a universal language. It communicates safety, intimacy, desire, and warmth without a single word. The way you use your hands, the pressure of your embrace, even the small movements you make while holding her, all create an emotional impact that she won't forget. Most men either don't use touch intentionally at all, or they overdo it and cross a line that makes the hug feel forced. The key is subtlety. When you gently place your hand on the middle of her back, it sends a message of support and protection. When you add a soft squeeze at the right moment, it tells her that you're not just holding her body, but feeling her presence. These small gestures make her feel connected, not because they're dramatic, but because they're thoughtful and intentional. A subtle touch also shows awareness. It shows that you're tuned into her body language and her comfort level. If she relaxes into you, your touch can mirror that energy by becoming firmer and warmer. If she's more reserved, your touch should respect that space while still being confident. This adaptability communicates emotional intelligence, and that's one of the most attractive traits a man can have. It's also important to understand that subtle touch builds anticipation. When you're not rushing, when you're not grabbing or forcing, the smallest movement can feel electric. A gentle rub of your hand across her back, a pause before you let go, or the way your fingers trace slightly as you release. Those details linger in her mind long after the hug ends. She remembers how you made her feel, and she replays it because it stood out from the usual thoughtless hug she's experienced. The power of subtle touch lies in balance. Too little, and it feels cold. Too much, and it feels overwhelming. Just enough, delivered with presence and confidence, creates a memory. It tells her that you're not afraid of intimacy, but you also respect her boundaries. That duality, strength and gentleness combined, is magnetic. When you hug a woman and use subtle touch wisely, you're sending a clear message. You value the connection. You're not just holding her out of habit, you're investing emotion into the moment. And because so many men rush or overlook this, your touch will stand out in her mind as something rare and unforgettable. So remember, subtle touch isn't about technique, it's about awareness, presence, and intention. When you bring those three elements into your embrace, even the smallest movements become powerful. And that's why letting the moment linger without rushing is the next key that makes your hug unforgettable. One of the most common mistakes men make in a hug is pulling away too quickly. They rush the moment because they feel nervous, because they don't want to seem awkward, or because they're unsure of how long to hold on. But what they don't realize is that the pause, the decision to let the moment linger just a little longer, is what makes a hug unforgettable. A hug isn't just a quick physical exchange, it's a transfer of energy. And when you let it last, you give her time to feel. When you rush, you communicate discomfort. You signal that closeness makes you uneasy, and that makes her uneasy in return. But when you let the hug linger, even for just a few extra seconds, you send the opposite message. You're comfortable with intimacy. You're at ease in your own skin, and you're not afraid of closeness. That's powerful. Women notice when a man can hold them without fidgeting or pulling away too soon. It feels different, it feels safe, and it feels intentional. Now, letting the moment linger doesn't mean holding on awkwardly or overstaying. It means being present enough to sense when the timing is right. It's about slowing down, breathing, and allowing her to feel your embrace instead of treating it like a checklist item. When you linger, she gets the chance to relax into you, to feel your confidence, and to let her guard down. That's the moment that imprints in her memory. Think about the difference between someone who brushes past you with a quick hug versus someone who embraces you with warmth and holds long enough for you to feel grounded. One is forgettable, the other stays with you. Women especially notice this because emotional connection is heightened by time and presence. A longer hug communicates depth without words. It says you're not just there physically, you're emotionally invested. What makes this even more powerful is that anticipation builds in silence. When neither of you rushes to end the hug, the space between release becomes charged. It creates an intimacy that lingers long after you step back. She'll remember not just the hug itself, but the way it made her heart slow down, the way it made her feel valued and cherished instead of rushed or brushed aside. The secret is balance. You don't need to count the seconds or force the hug to last longer than it should. You just need to slow down and let it naturally extend. Confidence is calm, and calmness never rushes. That's why when you linger, it speaks louder than words ever could. The next time you hug her, don't be the man who pulls away too soon. Be the man who lingers just enough to leave her wondering, remembering, and feeling connected. And this leads to the final piece, the way you end the hug with energy that leaves a lasting impression. How you end a hug is just as important as how you begin it, because the final moment is what lingers in her memory. Too many men ruin a great embrace by pulling away abruptly, looking distracted, or breaking eye contact as if they couldn't wait to escape. But when you end a hug with presence and energy, you leave her with a lasting impression that can replay in her mind long after you've let go. Ending a hug isn't about timing, it's about intention. When you slowly release, when you take a breath and allow the moment to close gently instead of abruptly, it communicates calmness and care. The pause before stepping back tells her you valued the connection. A man who ends a hug without rushing shows that he's fully in control of himself and the energy he brings into her world. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools in this moment. When you look her in the eyes after letting go, even for just a second, it seals the emotional connection you've built. It says, I'm here, I see you, and this moment mattered. That look alone can carry more weight than any words you could say. Women don't forget how a man makes them feel when he gives them that kind of undivided attention. Another subtle but unforgettable touch is a smile. Not forced or exaggerated, but natural, calm, and confident. That small smile communicates warmth and reassurance. It turns what could have been an ordinary goodbye into something memorable, something charged with positivity. Some men even whisper a few words like, it's good to see you, or take care of yourself. Simple, grounded words paired with a confident tone can elevate the energy and give her something to hold on to emotionally. It's also important not to drop your energy right after the hug. If you step back and immediately act nervous or distracted, it cancels out the impact. Instead, carry the same confidence from the hug into your next movement. Whether you're walking away, talking, or sitting down, keep that relaxed and grounded energy consistent. That's what leaves her thinking about you after the moment ends, because she felt your certainty not just in the hug, but in the way you transitioned out of it. The ending is the part she replays in her mind. If you leave her with awkwardness, she'll remember the discomfort, but if you leave her with calm confidence, warm energy, and eye contact that feels genuine, she'll remember the connection. And that memory can stick with her long after the physical touch has faded. So when you end the hug, end it with presence, end it with intention, and end it in a way that makes her feel valued. Because when you do, she won't just remember the hug, she'll remember you.